good to be in the house of the Lord, amen. We've got a special treat this morning. Probably about, 6 or 7 weeks ago, I got a phone call from T.J. Chacon. Where were you when you called me, man? You went to Taco Bell? That's awesome.
That actually makes sense. No, he did.
He called me up and he's like, hey, I would really like to speak. Those of you that don't know, TJ has been serving. What division are you in?
So I am a active duty member of the Air Force. Thank you very much. But I am a part of the 660th MX, and we are maintenance division. And see you, Troy. I know, I just kind of booted you off. But let's get underway here. So, I am Airmen First Class Chacon, and I am a KC-10 crew chief. KC-10 is the aircraft I'm on, second largest aircraft that the Air Force owns, and it is an aerial refueling plane. It is a flying gas tank, and it is awesome. I love it. It's so cool. And then I am stationed out in California at Travis Air Force Base. And for a little while now, I've been doing a lot of training for the military, and I've been gone and have had pretty minimal contact with back home during that time. And so this is my first trip back home, so it's good to be home. And it's good to be here at Connection. But as Troy was saying, about 6 weeks ago, I called him up and I said, Troy, November 11th is Veterans Day. The following day is Sunday. And I said, it is going to work out perfectly that I am going to show up a few days prior, and I would love to come speak and talk to you guys on Sunday. And so that's why I'm here. Since that time, I decided that I better prepare a talk. I better just not show up empty-handed for you guys. And so I started preparing a talk, and I prepared a talk called, I titled it, I always title everything, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And it was a talk on brotherhood, which is a huge concept within the military and something very important to me because I have a lot of brothers, And God told me I wasn't going to give you guys that talk, which was a little frustrating because it's completed, all written out, and set aside. So I decided it was time to write another talk. And so I wrote a talk and I titled it, Welcome to Basic Training. And it was a lot about self-discipline. And God told me, you're not going to give them that talk. That's not what I want you to get. So, a little frustrated. But with that said, I know that this morning we're going to share exactly what God wants you to know, because I have 2 talks which I have written out in full, and you are not getting either of those this morning. You're going to get the third one, which is more of just me sharing what God has shown me in my life over the last 3-4 months, and even longer, but really the last 3-4 months. So we'll open up with some prayer this morning. We're going to get a lot of prayer in today. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you that we can come here before you, and I ask that the words I give this morning are not of me, but entirely of you, and that everything else be left out. I ask that you bless these people and that you open hearts and ears. I know that this morning you brought everyone who needed to be here right to this place, and those are the people that are here. And that's amazing and powerful. So, bless this morning as we dive in today. In your holy name. Amen. The talk that I am giving you guys, pull some notes here, is about completing the mission, which is a huge, huge military concept. I really love practical things that can be applied very practically in our lives. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep it simple. We got a lot to cover, but I want to hopefully give you something that you can take and in a very direct way apply it to your life. And so we're going to dive in here with the first point that I have, which is understand your mission. And understanding the mission is the first part of completing the mission. You don't have any hope of completing a mission if you don't understand what your mission is. And everyone has their own mission. Everyone has a day-to-day mission, little things that you do. My mom had the mission to go pick up the boys from school on time, and that was her mission to get over there. And we have a lot of missions that we deal with in our life. But with that said, they all should line up with our big M, big mission. And that's really encouraging to know that we all should have the same big picture mission. And we'll talk more about that. But moving on from that, when you try to understand your own personal mission, I think the first important question you have to ask yourself is what main domain is my mission under? And what I mean by that is, if you haven't had the opportunity, I highly recommend the American Heritage series. I had to go through it several years back now, but in that series they talk very in depth about 3 foundational pillars, and they talk about the church, family, and government, and that those are very essential for a healthy society and healthy lifestyle. And understanding which domain your personal mission is under, it's very important for you to complete your mission. So, taking me for example, right now my mission is to be a soldier. And I am a maintainer by trade. I am a crew chief. If you think of all the maintainers in the Air Force, we're all like doctors, and we have our specialists who work on the individual systems. The crew chief is like a family doctor. We don't work all in one system. We get our hands a little bit on every system, and we get to sign the aircraft over to the air crew and say, approve it for flight, which is an awesome and humbling responsibility. But right now, my mission is to be a soldier, and I answer myself that falls under government very directly. And so, understanding my domain, I then went on to go and find the origin. And the origin of your domain is really important. I guarantee you, every single origin, you're going to want to go to Genesis. And so in Genesis chapter 9 here is where you find the origin of government. And it's very simple, and it's very powerful. And anyone who is in law enforcement, military, government, this is a verse that should be held absolutely sacred to you. But we come to Genesis 9, and the flood has just ended, and God is making a covenant with Noah. He's telling him he's not going to flood the earth again, and he is commanding him and his sons to go out and multiply. And then he says, over in chapter 9, verse 6, a very, very important verse. He says, "Whoever sheds human blood, by humans shall their blood be shed. For in the image of God has God made mankind." And for a long time, that verse meant nothing to me. But the power of what he just did is incredible. He has just, in a single sentence, established government. And in those words, establishing government, he has given his authority unto man, and he is giving them both their mission and their origin right there in one. And so, as a military man, it is my firm belief that the government's responsibility is as a protector. I believe that every single person should have the ability to go out and go out a run at midnight and not have to worry about a thing. I believe that everyone should be able to sleep in their bed at night, and that you guys should be happy and comfortable knowing that if anyone comes knocking at the door, we're going to knock back. And that's just from this, what I believe the origin and the responsibility of the military and government very strongly is. So, we understand the mission. We understand what domain it is under. We make sure that our mission lines up with our big picture mission, which we should all have in common. And then we move on from there, and it's time to prepare. It's time to get the practice in. There's a general by the name of Norman Schwarzkopf. I butchered his name horribly, but incredible guy. And I actually heard this while I was at Basic, and I love this saying. He's quoted saying that the more we sweat in peace, the less we bleed in war. And that's just a powerful concept that too often we wait till the last second to prepare, and it shows. With your mission, whatever your mission is, to achieve it successfully, you have to prepare. And you have to be willing to do the work. And so in preparation, you have to make a plan of attack. You have to say, okay, here's my goal. In 5 years, I want to be here. How am I going to get there? Or you may say, hey, I got to get this done tomorrow. How am I going to get this done tomorrow? And you form a plan of attack. Then you have to ask yourself, what are the tools or skills that I need in order to achieve my plan of attack? And then you go about gaining those tools and skills, and you then practice. Practice. Military is huge on exercises to a point that it gets annoying. I have had the opportunity to work out on the flight line where the aircraft are in full mock gear, which is head to toe. Your body is covered in a chemical suit. You have a gas mask on, and it is hot outside, and you're like, this isn't even real. I just want to get my job done and go home for the day. But the purpose of their exercises are very real and very practical, because I guarantee you, if I was put through one of those exercises again, that I could cut my time down on putting on that mop suit. And that's the idea of preparation and practice, is that when it comes time to execute, you can execute successfully and you can complete the mission. It's super practical, and it's just, the military as a whole does a phenomenal job at applying this concept. You're constantly asked throughout basic what-if questions. You're asked, what if someone came through that door right now? What would you do? And week 1, you get a lot of blank stares and people going, I don't know. And by week 7, you know the answer, because you practiced and prepared, and you train your mind to constantly ask itself, what-if scenarios. And it's a really cool mentality and preparation to have. When you understand your mission and you prepare successfully, you come to the final step, which is executing your plan of attack, and it becomes really easy because it's muscle memory. When you get dressed in the morning, there's a lot of people who get dressed the same way every single day. And in doing so, they never forget their keys or anything, because there's an order and a method to how they do it, and it creates good habits. And this practice that they put in pays off. And it's simple stuff like that that when it's taken to a big scale level, we can do incredible things. When we think of our big picture mission, it is absolutely awe-inspiring. And so these are 3 super simple steps. Understand your mission, prepare for your mission, and then execute your plan of attack. 3 super simple practical things that you can apply to everyday life. Going on from there, I think that these things are useless if you don't have a few key ingredients in your life. These things are awesome if you have some self-discipline. And self-discipline is an absolutely incredible thing to have, and I think most of us probably admire someone who has self-discipline, but you have to ask yourself how they get their self-discipline. Too many times I think we make the mistake of believing that it's willpower that leads to self-discipline, and that's just not the case. It is really hard to gain good self-discipline, but if we go over into 1 Corinthians, chapter 9, starting in verse 24. These verses, they are talking about running a good race. And it says that everyone who runs the race does so to get a prize. And that's their mission, that's their goal, that's what they're hoping to achieve. But it goes on to say that not everyone gets the prize. It says that they run for a race, they run to win a crown that will not last, but we do so to get a crown that will last forever. And so I do not run like a man running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. No, I strike a blow to my body and make it my slave, so that when I have finished preaching to others, I myself may not be disqualified from the prize. That, in a nutshell, is self-discipline. And that verse is one of my absolute favorite verses of all time. And that is how you achieve self-discipline. Now, I think a very practical way to achieve self-discipline is to seek out imposed discipline. And we hear self-discipline a lot, but not imposed discipline, because no one likes imposed discipline. But a good example is a workout buddy. If you've ever gone to the gym and you're not someone who likes the gym, and you have someone there who can push you and motivate you, and they impose discipline on you, they call you up and they say, hey, I got to get you there. And you guys go together and they get you to go that extra mile and work a little bit harder. And they impose discipline on your life. And what they are doing is, at this point, we still don't have self-discipline. We have imposed discipline on ourselves, and it builds up discipline. Once you have the discipline in your life, then you can start to transition it over to self-discipline. Because now you know, hey, I can achieve this. I'm working out with someone and they have imposed discipline on me for a long time, and it's a very smooth transition, most of the time, over to now you go and work out on your own, and you have a lot easier time with it. It's a super practical way to build discipline in your life. And discipline is a very powerful tool, especially if you want to achieve your mission. So, in those 3 steps, we're achieving our mission. We have the self-discipline to do it. I want to go back to the beginning and just quickly go over the Big M mission. So my sister, Emily, is in China right now. Many of you know her. She has known what she is called to do since the age of 11 years old. And there's got to be some sort of peace that comes with that, knowing what you're going to do for that long. But I would say it's okay to not know your individual mission. It's okay because, you know what, if God told me, hey, in 20 years you're going to have a successful law practice, and you're going to be doing amazing things, you're going to have a great family and plenty of money, being a lazy human that I am, I'm not going to try. I just got a guaranteed deal that in 20 years I'm going to be set. So when He doesn't show you your plan, often it's to turn you into who you need to be to achieve your ultimate goals and your mission that He has set for you. But there is a certain peace that comes in knowing all of us have the same Big M mission. And this is what I would challenge you guys to. I'm sure many of you have looked at it before, but I would say go take another look at it and ask yourself, is your little M mission, your personal mission, line up with the Big M mission? And so the mission, of course, Matthew 28, 19 through 20. I'm sure we've all heard it. It's the Great Commission, the ultimate mission. And then I would also tell you guys to go look at Ephesians 6, 10 through 18. That's, of course, the armor of God. And those are the tools that you need in preparation to achieve that mission. And then I just challenge you to ask yourself, does my mission line up with the big mission? Because if it doesn't, you need to be asking yourself, should I be doing this mission? Is this my mission? And in the end, I don't think there's any way around the fact that we all should be pouring towards the achievement of the ultimate mission. But super simple, keeping it pretty basic this morning, super practical. A way that I just want to share a quick story of throughout basic, you're in a flight of about 50 people, and you lose all sense of privacy, and you lose all sense of personal time, and you realize how much you can get done in 5 minutes, that's for sure. And you learn to push the ground until it moves, and you march forever, and it's a lot, but it's fun. And the whole time you're at basic, they're trying to teach you teamwork, to be an effective team. And the military makes very effective teams. But my flight struggled. We struggled a lot. One goal we set for ourselves very early on during basic is we wanted to be the top PT flight. And we were not the top PT flight. Out of 50 people in a flight, we lost to the top PT flight by a total of 11 seconds of running and 1 push-up. And that was frustrating because we had put all this time and effort into achieving what we had set as our mission. And we said, this is our mission, this is how we're going to get here. And we did all the groundwork to achieve the mission successfully. So when it came time and we didn't achieve that mission, we really felt defeated. Well, the next day, after we graduated basic, we were given the opportunity to run a formation 5K. And so a formation run, you line up 4 people across and however many people back, and you sing jodies to stay in step the whole time. And then a 5K, of course, just a little over 3 miles. We said, you know what? We got to prove ourselves. We put in all this work, and we decided that we really wanted to win this 5K. And so our flight set a pace to win the 5K, and the groundwork, which we had originally thought was for a different mission, ended up leading us to complete this other mission in 24 minutes total, and the next closest flight was 30 minutes and 30 seconds, over 5 minutes behind us. And so coming out of basic, that was an awesome opportunity to be able to come together as a team and see the tools and the time that we put in make us achieve a mission that we didn't even realize was there yet. It turned us into who we needed to be to achieve that goal and mission. And sometimes our failures have a tendency to get us down, but as cliche as it is, every failure is an opportunity. And if you look at your failures as opportunities and you say, you take away the lessons from them, you're going to achieve your mission. You're going to get there. And so, being brand new to the military, I really love this mentality of focusing on the mission. And in every task you do, saying, what is my mission? How do I achieve it? And then going out and achieving it. And I think there is a very biblical basis for that mentality, and it's a very practical way of thinking to apply to our lives. That's really all I have for that, for you guys. But the other reason that I'm up here today and the one talking is because when I talked to Troy, I said, you know what? Throughout the last few months, I have become very patriotic. It is hard to be in the military and not be a little patriotic. We have a movie theater on base that we go to, and all they play for previews is war movie previews. And we all stand for the national anthem, and we all watch this movie, and even our downtime is pretty dang patriotic. And it's pretty fun. I enjoy it. I like being a patriot. And so, of course, yesterday was November 11th, and so I wanted to speak just to the veterans real quick, and I just wanted to recognize them. And to kick that off, I have a video for you guys that we're going to go ahead and play.
Average age of the young American serving in uniform today is 20 and a half years of age, making him about 10 months older than his grandfather, who would have served in my war. He's a high school graduate. He's a volunteer. He is brighter, better educated, better trained, led, and equipped than any soldier, sailor, airman, guardsman, or Marine of any country in history. He goes to work wearing an 8-pound Kevlar helmet, a 45-pound flak jacket, and today in Kandahar, it was 110 degrees, and he'll hike up those hills and walk back down them without complaining. He's been taught chemistry and physics and ballistics and avionics and electronics to operate and maintain the most sophisticated weapons and equipment ever designed by the hand and mind of man. He can use his body like a weapon, and his weapon like part of his body. And he can take a life or save one because he has been so remarkably well trained. The images of the young Marines and soldiers and sailors and airmen going to Bible studies and religious services aren't staged. They're all real. They're all spontaneous, and nearly all of them are initiated by those young Americans in harm's way. When they gather in prayer circles and huddle up before a mission, they're not going out to play football. They are going into mortal combat, and they know that some of them are liable not to come back. And they do it because they have faith. Just for the grins, how many of you raised a teenage boy? I used to do this when Betsy wasn't there because she eventually told me, I saw you raise your hand. I did that. Think about getting a teenage boy to clean up his own room, do his own laundry, fix his own meals, clean up everything without a size 10 in the backside. And yet that same youngster today washes and mends his own clothing, feeds himself, takes care of cleaning his weapon, cleaning himself. He's totally self-sufficient. The kid who once wouldn't share a candy bar with his little brother now gives away his last drop of water to a wounded comrade, his only MRE to a hungry Afghan kid, and splits his ammo with a mate in a firefight. I always save this one for last when I'm explaining it to young people about who they are, because so few of them know the truth of these youngsters. This is a frame taken from my footage on the 6th of April, 2003. Baghdad is the smoke pall you see in the background. The Marine unit I'm with embedded is the van, the lead element of the attack on the Eastern Corridor. We're about 15 miles outside of Baghdad, and a Republican Guards regiment ambushes this Marine rifle company. They spin their Humvees around, and there is a gunfight that occurs between this regiment and this rifle company. And in the midst of the beaten zone, the area where the intersecting bullets are crossing, a United States Navy corpsman I had first met in Kandahar in 2001 rushes into the battlefield, right through the fire, drags two wounded Marines out, and carries them on his shoulder to a helicopter that's landed in the roadway. And in this footage right here, I am standing on the ramp of that helicopter. And this corpsman, who's rushed now twice before and brought these two wounded back, now has the third one. And off to the right-hand side, as you look at the screen, a Reuters news crew sets up their tripod, and they're videotaping him going in and out. And as this guy staggers back into the gunfight, one of them shouts out, "Hey, mate, what did you do that for? Didn't you notice?" In other words, you stupid American. Didn't you notice that wasn't a Marine? If you look carefully at that photograph, you'll see that the wounded warrior who's already been bandaged up by that United States Navy medical corpsman isn't a Marine. It's a wounded Iraqi soldier. And this U.S. Navy corpsman has rushed into the battlefield to save his life. And so, because it's polite company, Wayne, I can only put it this way. In response to the Reuters news crew, the Navy corpsman gives them a gesture. You're not supposed to get that part. He gives them a gesture. He says, "Didn't you notice? He was wounded. That's what we do. We're Americans."
I think that's pretty incredible. I think it's fun to be patriotic. I love it. I love it. And with that said, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize the veterans that we have in this room. We have some incredible ones, some who inspired me quite a bit. So I just ask if you are a veteran and have served in any form of the military, if you'll stand at this time, we'd just like to recognize you. And with that, I would just like to close this in prayer and pray over these guys and gals, and then we'll get you guys on your way. Dear Heavenly Father, thanks for this day. Thank you that we can come here together and just learn a short little practical way to think that always ends up pointing back to you and back to achieving what you have for us. I especially just want to pray over the veterans in this room and just say thank you to each and every one of them. They're the ones who laid the foundation so that my generation can come in, and they've given us borders and boundaries, but they also have showed myself horizons. Excellence has become the standard. And that's what it requires in order to keep this country free. You set up government as an authority and a foundation. And because of that, we pray that you take care of that authority and foundation, and that that authority and foundation does not stray from you. In Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar, he gets big-headed a lot. And he strays from you, and he's constantly reminded where his authority comes from. And when things are done in and through you, there is no way they can't be successful. I pray that you bless these people in this country. I pray that you protect the freedoms, especially in this day and age. And I pray that you just let no one forget that in the midst of war, you are there, and that this is your fight. In your holy name. Amen. Well, folks, everyone have a good rest of your Sunday, and if you do happen to see a veteran, especially around this time of year, highly encourage you to say hello, thank them for their service. It's weird, but they like it. It really is. It's a weird feeling. But do it anyways. They've given a ton for you guys. And it's an honor to get to know so many of them. Have a great rest of your week, guys.